So problem 6 has two parts. This will cover the first part, which is requirement 1, prepare a cash collection schedule for the first quarter of the year. So the idea behind a cash collection schedule is that we need to time when our cash flows are going to occur. And this gives us some information. So we know our cash sales and we know our credit sales. And then it has some information about when we expect to collect our credit sales, which is given to us here. And finally, to start the quarter, we had accounts receivable. When do we plan on collecting those? So that's the information we're going to need to complete this. And so to do the budget, the important part of the budget is having the right information over here, because we know January, February, and March, and what we're looking for is all the different things we're going to collect and then put those amounts in the proper period. So I started with a row called beginning accounts receivable, and then I added one for my cash sales collections, and then I added for each of my credit sales collections. So January, February, and March. So let's just kind of work through and put these numbers in. So let's start with accounts receivable. It says accounts receivable on January 1 was $70,000. $50,000 will be collected in January. $20,000 will be collected in February. So maybe I'll get rid of all these scribbles. Alright, so there's the 50 in January, and there's the 20 in February. The next thing that I've listed here is our cash sales. Obviously, we collect the cash sales in the month the sale happens. So I've come up here and said, there's my January cash sales, there's my February cash sales, there's my March cash sales, 70, 50, and 40. And then those come across right here, 70, 50, and 40 for each of those months. Then we have our January credit sales. And this tells us that 60% of our credit sales occur in the month of the sale. So what I've done is taken 60% of January's sale, and that's what I collect in January. And then, of course, 30%, right? So 30% is collected in February. And finally, 10% is collected in March. And so the $340,000 is collected 60% in January, 30% in February, 10% in March. Because all of that falls within the first quarter, we can check that our number is right. It's $340,000. Okay, and obviously in January, I don't collect any of my February credit sales or any of my March credit sales, because obviously those months haven't happened in January. So February, the only thing I collect in February remaining to collect is the 60% of the February sale. So let's get rid of that scribble again. So February, so 60% of that is collected in February, and 30% of that is collected in March. Just pretend that says March. And then 10% is collected in April, but we're not doing April's budget. We're just doing the first quarter. So that's where we get February and March. And then finally, whoa, I went too far there. Finally, March, 60% is collected in March, and that's all we're focused on there. So then we total those up. We total the rows this way to get our quarterly collections, and we total them this way to get how much we expect to collect each month.